This is my public poetry project titled Chicory Magazine and My Connection to Poetry. Chicory is a magazine of poetry and art created by residents of Baltimore, Maryland, starting in 1966. The magazine published unedited poetry from residents of some of the most impoverished neighborhoods in the city, giving a voice to the people living there. Chicory is funded by the Office of Economic Opportunities Community Action Program and was taken in many different directions by the residents of Baltimore. The main goal of Chicory was to allow people who were not trained poets to advocate for their communities and communicate through art and poetry. As a student studying in Baltimore but hailing from the West, this inspired me to share a poem I wrote about a topic that is important to me and to hopefully bring student poetry to a wider audience. My poem, titled What Is It Worth?, is about wealth inequality and access to our most precious resource, which is water. What is it worth? If I made $1 million a week, I would have $52 million a year. If I had $52 million a year, I would have $1 billion after 20 years. I am 20 years old now, and even after 20 years, I cannot imagine $1 million. How much is $1 million a week worth? It must be worth another lawsuit, when people have to fight to use their water on their land, but pay a lawyer $1 million a week and cool a Facebook server instead. And I can't even imagine $1 million. How far can $52 million get you? Maybe the cost of the Rio Grande is $52 million. Is that what Texas pays for our water, $52 million? But the river ran dry this summer, and the last 2 summers before, so maybe the water can't cost anything anymore. What is $1 billion worth? $1 billion is worth as much as you can get for it. When there's nothing left to sell, who will bear the cost? I don't think the billionaires can even imagine $1 million. So I'm going to provide some context to my poem. So what is it worth begins with a breakdown of how much $1 billion is as a way for the audience to kind of conceptualize the scale of that wealth. The second stanza of my poem is about people who have to go through legal settlements in order to use the water naturally available to them. So many indigenous people live on reservations and do not have access to running water and have to go through legal battles to secure water rights. In particular, the Navajo Nation has been in legal battles for over 20 years trying to access water from the Colorado River, while currently 1/3 of the population does not have access to clean drinking water. Concurrently, Meta has built multiple data centers in New Mexico, and according to the Santa Fe New Mexican, used 75 million gallons of water in 2023. Facilities that house servers for Meta can bring in money to the state through jobs and construction, but require large amounts of energy and water for cooling. The third stanza of my poem discusses the Texas-New Mexico Rio Grande conflict. The Rio Grande is the primary river that flows through New Mexico and then to Texas, where it exits in the Gulf of Mexico. Texas buys a portion of Rio Grande water from New Mexico, but droughts have caused the Rio Grande to run dry multiple summers in a row. In an initial lawsuit by Texas, the state claims that New Mexico violated the agreement by not letting enough water to flow to Texas. The U.S. government and Native American tribes also have interest in the case, and it has been brought to the Supreme Court once before. Projections have shown that there will be 25% less water available within the next 50 years, according to the state government of New Mexico. The final stanza wraps the poem up with the question of what monetary wealth even means, how much our resources matter to us, and if these sacrifices are worth it. So in What Is It Worth?, I use the repetition of this rhetorical question to emphasize the importance of the issue to me. The incremental increase of the numbers I use from 1 million to 52 million to 1 billion is supposed to create an urgency and an impending sense of conflict. Rather than using metaphors or symbolism to portray these issues, I directly referenced ongoing court cases and named company names because they are real issues that I wanted to address. And I chose not to represent them in a more subtle way because I wanted the poem to have a real, raw, and unfiltered feel to it. Thank you for listening.